Hey guys, it's Leo here from Bookworm Reading, and I'm back with another video from History Month. Today's book is about Helen Keller. The book is called Helen Keller, The World at Her Fingertips. It is an I Can Read Level 2 book. This book is by Sarah Albee and pictures by Gustavo Mazali. Now, before we get started, if you happen to enjoy this book or this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for all of your generosity. Alright, enough said, and let's get straight into the book. Helen Keller, The World at Her Fingertips. Helen Keller could not see. She could not hear. She could hardly speak. But she learned to read and write. She loved to swim and ride bikes. Helen traveled all around the world. She met 12 US presidents. She spent her life helping others. How did she do it? Helen had been born healthy. At 6 months, a happy baby could even say a few words. But when Helen was not yet 2, she got very sick with a high fever. Baby Helen recovered at last. But then her parents realized she could no longer see or hear. Helen's world became dark and silent. Little Helen could no longer speak because she could not hear. She forgot all her words. She grew incredibly frustrated. Helen screamed and kicked and hit. Many people told their parents that Helen would never learn. They said Helen should be sent away. Helen's parents refused. Helen's parents wrote to a school for blind people to ask for help. The school sent a young woman to their house to teach Helen. Her name was Anne Sullivan. Helen was nearly 7 years old. Anne was only 20. She came from a poor family. She had very bad eyesight herself. Helen's family had always let Helen have her own way, but Anne did not. Anne was kind to Helen, but firm. Anne made Helen eat with a spoon and not with her fingers. Helen threw her spoon on the floor. Anne made her pick it up. Helen shrieked and fought, and Anne remained firm. Anne tried to teach Helen to understand words and language. Anne handed Helen a doll. With her fingers, Anne spelled DOLL in Helen's open hand. Helen did not understand. Anne kept trying. And then one day it worked. Anne pumped water over Helen's hand and spelled out WATER. In a flash, Helen understood. Helen realized that Anne's fingers spelled words that named things. She zoomed from object to object. That day, she learned father, mother, sister, and was teacher. Then, Helen learned to read by touching raised dots on a page. Helen was the first blind and deaf person to learn to read. Newspapers printed stories about Helen and Anne. The two became famous. Helen's world was now a happy place. Helen was a brilliant student, and Anne was a brilliant teacher, and lived at their home for years. Helen learned to read lips. Helen got into Radcliffe College. Anne went with her to help her. While still in college, Anne wrote a book about her life. After college, Helen kept writing. We are never really happy until we try to brighten the lives of others, Helen said. She helped the poor. She helped children. Helen also helped women win the right to vote and was always at her side. But Anne's eyesight was fading and Anne's health was failing. Helen needed more help. Helen hired a housekeeper. Her name was Polly Thompson. She learned how to help Helen with reading and with travel. She became a close friend. For years, the three lived together. Then, in 1936, Anne died. Anne had been Helen's teacher for almost 50 years. Helen missed her friend, but she and Polly kept working. Helen raised money for the blind. She comforted injured soldiers. Helen loved to smell flowers, to cuddle dogs, to taste good food, to feel music, and to touch art. Helen loved life. Helen changed the way the world viewed deaf and blind people. She inspired deaf and blind people to believe in themselves. She lived a full life with courage and with joy. And that is the end of our book part. But now is the timeline. So you can pause if you want to take a longer look. This is the part where she is learning. And this is the bottom left is Braille. It's a language that blind people use. And lastly, this is a famous picture of Helen. Alright, if you enjoyed the book, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you want to, be sure to check the description for a question about this book. Alright, enough said, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.